7:15, and yesterday we introduced you to the hurricane hunters from the U.S. Air Force.
And today, First Warning meteorologist Don Maher is live to introduce us to another group of hurricane hunters whose mission is slightly different, Don.
Yeah, that's correct. Of course, everybody knows the hurricane hunters from the U.S. Air Force. Their mission primarily to fly into storms and send back real-time data to the National Hurricane Center to aid in hurricane track and hurricane forecasting. But there is another group of hurricane hunters. They're the NOAA hurricane hunters. And while they also fly into storms and send back real-time data, their mission differs just a little bit. When it comes to forecasting hurricanes, the hurricane hunters provide vital information in real time. Many may be familiar with the Air Force hurricane hunters of the 53rd Weather Reconnaissance Squadron. There is another group of hurricane hunters who also fly into these dangerous storms. The hurricane hunters with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration flying the P-3 Orion aircraft. Lieutenant Commander Robert Mitchell, one of the pilots for the P-3 Orion, tells Western Mass News how their mission differs from the mission of the Air Force hurricane hunters.
The mission for us is primarily focused on research. So the research is what goes into the next iteration of hurricane forecasting. What we do specifically is we are equipped with different radars and different sensors that are the next cutting edge of hurricane forecasting. So we are looking to see what we can do to better those forecast models and better those warnings and watches.
Lieutenant Commander Mitchell also tells me about some of the different equipment that they have on the P-3 Orion.
We have the big M&M on the bottom of our plane as our multi-mode radar. So that is a 360-degree radar similar to what's on the ground on the WSR-88 radars, which gives us that big picture view of the storm. So when we're in, say, the center of the storm, we can see 360 degrees around us and send that picture back to the forecasters to help their knowledge of what's going on.
And what about the probe on the front of the plane? Well, that is just another sensor that provides critical data on the storm.
So that is a differential pressure sensor that tells us what the winds are at the flight level of the aircraft. So that helps us find the center of the storm as we find out where those winds go to zero as we go through the center of the storm.
And while their primary mission may be focused on research, the data that they are collecting is sent back to the National Hurricane Center to help in forecasting current storms.
The tail Doppler radar, which is on the back of our plane, that information, as they're ingesting those into the model, is showing great progress in increasing the accuracy of the intensity forecast. So when we go in, the intensity forecast improves, the track forecast improves, and that information gets passed on to the public.
Robert also tells me it's rather common for them to be flying through the same storm at the same time the Air Force hurricane hunters are flying into the storm.
We will oftentimes be on the same storm, we'll be at different altitudes, and we may be kind of doing different patterns throughout the storm. But our information goes back together to the same center and is again put into those forecast models.
And whether the mission is primarily research or reconnaissance of a current storm, the goal of the hurricane hunters is the same: improving the forecast accuracy when it comes to hurricanes. And all that research being done by the NOAA hurricane hunters hopes to increase forecast accuracy as we deal with storms throughout this upcoming hurricane season. But hurricane season running June through November. So what are the hurricane hunters and the experts at the National Hurricane Center doing during their off season? I'll have more on that coming up in our next half hour. Live from Chicopee, First Warning meteorologist Don Maher. Brittany and Chris, back to you.